So hello guys, welcome to this long-awaited video. In today's video I will be showing you how to create videos like me. Specifically, there is nothing we can do, meme template. This video will be divided into many parts. I will teach you how to export map layers using the QGIS desktop version. Then we will draw some borders with paint.net. And lastly, we will edit the video in the CapCut. Also, I completely forgot to say that I will be sharing some of my files with you. For example, these pre-made maps if you cannot use the QGIS, for example, if you are on a phone. So don't worry, you don't have to create a map from QGIS because I will be giving you these layers by myself, yeah? The map is basically ready to be used, so no problem with that. There are also some paint.net plugins from the community. One of them is, for example, the object align from Vandermotten and the drop shadow plugin. Obviously, I will be showing you how to import these plugins into paint.net later on. And also, here are the QGIS layers made by the organizations and individuals, so that you don't have to manually drag the layers into QGIS later on. You will just need to open this file and the project with all the map layers should open right away. Okay, and I think that's everything for the beginning, so let's get right into it. First, let's create a folder where we will be putting all the stuff, so let's call it, let's do something simple. So for example, the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Hungary, like so. Inside this folder we will be putting all the stuff that we need to make the video. Okay, now I would like to show you a way to obtain a music or a video from YouTube. Normally I use YouTube DLP command line interface application, but since that isn't modular and it's not very easy, I will be showing you a different way to download music off YouTube. So head over to YouTube mp3.cc. This is basically the site that we will be using to convert music from a video. Now head over to YouTube, search for a music. You can use my video to snatch the audio from. I don't really mind. Okay, so it's this one. Now copy this URL. For mobile users, it's right down at the bottom. Yeah, this one. Head over to YouTube mp3.cc, paste in the URL, tap on mp3, and click on convert. Now let's wait a little bit. And after a few seconds, your audio should be available to download. Okay, so I will put it in my folder that I created. And hit on save. So it's now in our folder. I will also create a specific folder for the audio. There we go. Okay, so let's install the applications. This is a site for QGIS. This is for paint.net. And from here we will download the CapCut. All of these applications are available for free, but keep in mind that CapCut is heavily... Well, let's just say that most of these features are behind a paywall, so you will have to probably pay some extra bucks to get the most of it. But just for the sake of this tutorial, it will do. Yeah, even the free version. You don't have to worry about it. All of these sites will be available down in the description or in a comment. The QGIS. Once again, you don't have to install this application if you are fine with using my maps. Yeah. Another thing is that you cannot really download this if you are on a phone. Unfortunately, there is no other alternative that I know. But yeah, if you are like me and you are using a PC or a laptop to make mapping videos, then you will be fine. Okay, so on this side, click on skip it and go to download. And choose the first option. Okay, hit save. Now open the installation file. Just click on Express Install. Let's choose this one, for example. Doesn't really matter. We will go with QGIS. Click on Next. Just agree with the license terms. Same here. And now we wait. Meanwhile, you can obviously download the other applications, so let's download paint.net. Once again, there is nothing specific to be done. Just export it into your downloads page, downloads folder, open it, run it, and click on continue. Okay, now click on express. I agree, next. And this is it. You can also donate if you want. I already did. Because the developer is an absolute chat for keeping these applications free. Oh, another thing, this application is also not available on phone. So if you are using phone, choose Ibis Paint X, I guess. I heard it's pretty much similar to paint.net, so no problem with that. It honestly doesn't matter what application you choose to draw borders, yeah. You can even use Photoshop if you want to, if you have that. Okay, and uncheck this box. We don't need to do that now. And click on finish. Now let's install these paint.net plugins. So search for paint.net, open file location, right click, open file location once again, scroll up until you find effects, and paste all the plugins from the folder into another, and click on continue. Okay, so now you have all my plugins that I'm using to edit my images. In most cases you will be just needing the drop shadow and object align. These one are the most useful. Huge shout out to those who created these plugins, to Vandermotten, Ahmed and others. Thank you very much. You can also search these plugins on the internet. All you have to do is just search paint.net plugins and they will come up. Last but not least, let's download the CapCut. Open the installation program. And I think it should already begin installing. Yeah, I think it's already installing, so you just need to open the file and you're good to go. Okay, so here it is. CapCut finished the installation, so let's agree and continue to the application. You can sign in if you want to. Now let's just create a project and obviously skip everything. Now go to the menu, click on settings. And since we will be using some higher resolution images, click on speed up hardware encoding and speed up hardware decoding and turn on proxy mode. Check this auto render option. Actually, one more thing. Click on edit and select 60 FPS. This will make the animation much smoother. So yeah, that's for the CapCut. Okay, so it finally completed the installation, so let's click on finish. And now let's open the QGIS. There is one specific thing we need to install and enable. Oh look, Bratislava. The versions of QGIS are named after capitals and some fine geographical points, I think. So this year it's Bratislava. Also Pozsony. Hungarians will be happy. Okay, so it finished the installation. This is it. This is the program that I'm using to export the map layers. And one thing we need to do before you can open the red star file, we need to install one plugin. So head over to this tab, manage and install plugins, and search for Quick Map Services. Click on install plugin. That's not everything. Now you need to go to web, Quick Map Services, settings, more services, and get contributed back. So you can use the Bing and Google Map to obtain a satellite image of the world. Okay, so now you should be ready to open the red star file. So head over to the Files for Fans by Red Star folder, go to QGIS layers and open up the redstar.qgs file. Okay, so this is QGIS. So if you made it this far, congratulations! You successfully installed all my applications that I use. So what did you learn? Nothing exactly. The real lesson begins now. In this segment I will teach you how to create the same map like I have using the QGIS desktop. So head over to QGIS layers and open restart.qgis and something like this should appear. Now I won't be showing you all the things that this program can do. If you want to dive deep into georeferencing and other geo stuff, then I definitely recommend this channel, Chinese Productions, which is focused on mapping videos just like me. And there are 2 tutorials on QGIS. They are pretty good. I definitely recommend them if you want to try something else or if you want to georeference like a pro. This channel will be mentioned in the video description down below. Alright, so if you did everything correctly and all the layers loaded successfully, then you should have these kind of layers on the left. One of these most important layers is the Google Satellite image map. That is the terrain of the map, right? Then this is something similar to the Google Satellite image, but it's just an image of the relief and ocean. I will show you why it's important later on. Base contains all the land coordinations, so I can differentiate islands from one to another. Then we have lakes, rivers for reference purposes, cities, borders, provinces, historical provinces of Europe only, and historical provinces of Europe in 1930. These ones will not be visible on the map. They are here only to help us make the borders look more historical. Yeah, these ones are for the main map, the main terrain of the map. If you double click any of these, you can change some attributes, for example the color of borders, the stroke width, and so on. We will be just exporting the layers from the QGIS into paint.net. So, if these 2 didn't appear, don't worry, you can obtain them through web, quick map services, and then Google Satellite, and you see it will appear. You can also obtain a different satellite map, for example from Bing. Yeah. This one is pretty popular, but I don't use it yet. Maybe I will use it in the future. Who knows? So, what are we going to do? We will be needing a terrain of the Central Europe for Austro-Hungarian Empire. So, let's position it somehow like this, let's just say, I guess. Because the screen width is like, you know, like that. The mobile screen width. Maybe I will zoom it a little bit, so 120 maybe. Okay, I think it's fine, so let's just export the layers. Disable every layer except for the one you want to export. Click on project, new print layout, okay. Right click, page properties, set the size to this resolution, the full HD. Now click this icon, add map. Click this little corner and hit OK. Yeah, so now you have the layer inside this print layout window. Maybe I will actually zoom in a little bit because it's too big. Magnifier 130. Okay. Yeah, I think this will be fine. Okay, once more. Yeah, I guess it's fine. Okay, so now hit layout, export as image. Go to your folder. I will also create a new folder. Let's just go with layers. Call this one terrain. Enable anti-aliasing. And now you need to choose the resolution. Normally 300 dpi is a little bit too low because you will be zooming in a lot. Sometimes I choose something absurd, but I don't recommend choosing this because this resolution, with higher resolution comes higher requirements. So, you know, if you have a really bad PC or if your phone cannot handle large images, then I definitely don't recommend going above the 900 dpi. But since my PC can handle that, I will go with probably like 1200 probably. That should be enough to zoom, for example, to Czechia. So let me see, just hit save. This can take up to 5 minutes depending on your hardware. Give it a little time. It's done. Let me just check if it's enough. Okay. Yep, it's fine. We can zoom in without losing the quality, so that's fine. Alright, so we have the terrain. Now, let's do the same with the ocean. Switch from this layer into this layer. Now go back and click this little icon, and it should render the other layer. Click on Layout, Image, call it Ocean, and change it to the same DPI like before. And also for this layer, enable anti-aliasing. Okay, it's done. Now do the same for the base layer, but this time change the resolution and uncheck the anti-aliasing. Otherwise it will be very hard to draw borders on it. Okay? And now repeat the same process for all these layers. I mean, probably you don't have to repeat it for this one. We will be just needing this one for references, but if you want to, you can do so. Yep, okay, so that's it. Congratulations, you learned how to export layers from QGIS. In the next segment, I will be showing you how to assemble these into a nice, proper red star map. So, let's go. Okay, so we have the layers. Let's assemble them. Open the terrain and import all other layers onto the canvas. Click on Add Layers. Now wait a little bit. Now let's remove the white background from every picture we have. See that little band over here? Click it. Put tolerance to 0%. Set this to pixelated selection quality. And now press Shift left click to select the white background and press on Delete. This will remove the white background of the layer. Okay, let's disable this one. Let's disable this one. Now let's remove white background of this one. So once again, Shift Delete, and here. Okay, so we removed the white background of every single layer, but I forgot to tell you what even are these layers. So let's say, for example, if I would select this one right here, and I would do, I don't know, I would draw a red line over here, and now if I would go to the background and select this, whatever this thing is, and hit on delete, then it will actually delete the selection on the other layer, yeah, that I have selected. If I want to remove this lightning strike, let's just say, so I would have to select the particular layer where the lightning was thrown and hit on delete, yeah, like that. These layers will basically help us in shaping the actual map and differentiate between the actual map layers that we will put into CapCut and other layers, for example, the reference layers. Okay, so now let's finally assemble the map. So first of all, disable every layer, every single layer. And now drag ocean right to the bottom. If you look at the background and base, supposedly you have base above background, otherwise it will not work. So you may see that there are some inconsistencies with the map, yeah, with the actual borders. We need to fix that for the country layers to align correctly. So you may see it doesn't align perfectly, and we need to fix that. Hit the magic wand once again. Now disable obviously this layer. Shift left click on the empty space. Now move on to the terrain layer and hit delete. We now basically remove the ocean from the terrain map. I will rename this to terrain. But if you will look more closely right now, then you may see that the terrain and the layer with borders aligns perfectly. This is basically my secret why my country layers basically align perfectly. But we obviously don't have ocean right now. We are going to fix that right away. Enable this layer, and you may see that it's not perfect. It's gray. We don't want it gray, obviously. Oh, and one another thing, I completely forgot about that one. Select the lakes layer, enable it. Now press Vent, shift left click on the purple area. Go back to the terrain and now press delete. Okay, now disable the lakes and you can already remove this layer from the file by clicking this icon. Yeah, we added some lakes to the terrain map. Now back to the topic. The ocean is white and gray. We don't want that, so let's add some color. Add a new layer by clicking this icon. Press this bucket or an F key, select a blue color and just left click while having this layer selected. Okay, so we have the blue color. Once again, that is not what we want, obviously. Double click this layer, blend mode, select multiply, and then you will see that we created our own ocean. Now obviously, if you want to be more creative, you don't have to make it specifically blue. You can, for example, make it even green or red. Yeah, if you, I don't know, are for example making some kind of Halloween Halloween mapping video, I will just keep it blue, and obviously you can change it to any blue color you want. Yeah, I will just choose this one. Okay, I suppose that's it. You made yourself a fully multifunctional high resolution map to work with. This is how I basically create most of my maps these days. What I also tend to do is add a little shadow to the terrain. In order to drop a shadow, you go to Effects, Object, and I use the plugin for dropping the shadow. Now select the color to be black. You can play with these settings however you want. I will keep it like this. And now if you will zoom in, you may see that the terrain has a nice looking shadow. There's a nice little addition to it. Make sure to save this project, so hit on save. Keep it on .pdn, and let's just call it Austria-Hungary map. Right? Now disable all the layers except these three. Hit on save as. Now select PNG and call it a map base. And hit on OK and flatten all the layers. This will merge all the other layers into one singular layer that can be then used in CapCut. So now go back and you can remove these three layers. We don't need them anymore. Now once again, click on Save As, Paint.net, and call this one Austria-Hungary References. We will be drawing specific countries in this project. There is nothing we can do. Template consists of 4 starting images and then 8 × 2 other images. And we will be saving all of them right here. So the first one consists of modern Austria and Hungary, right? So what you can do, you could obviously redraw these borders, but why would you do that? You can just create a new layer. Yeah, we will be putting all the countries onto specific layers. Let's call this 1, maybe like this. Okay. Now go back to colors. Press Magic Wand. Shift left click on Austria. Make sure the tolerance is 0%. Now press F for the fill bucket tool. Go to the first layer, make it red, and now press Shift and left click. Now if I would disable this layer, you may see that we've created our first country, Austria. Now let's do the same with Hungary. So once again, Magic Wand, Shift left click, make sure the colors are selected. Shift left click on Hungary, press F, select for example green color this time to differentiate between these two countries, and press Shift left click and you will have Hungary. Okay, so this is the first frame that we will be inserting into CapCut. Now duplicate this one, call it 2, and we will be adding some flags. Now let's search for some flags. So we will need the modern day Austrian flag. Yeah, this one will do. So click on copy image. Now create another layer. Put it down, paste in the Austrian flag. Make sure this is set to nearest neighbor, because this flag is simple. If you are working with some complex flags, if it for example has the coat of arms, set it to bicubic or bilinear. Resize it a little bit. This is fine, I guess. Now go to the second layer, magic wand, shift left click, go to the bottom layer, press delete, and move the layer above the second layer. Okay, so maybe that's not what we wanted. I will just resize it a little bit. You can obviously use Ctrl Z to always get back. Okay, now this will be much better. Okay, once again, this layer, magic wand, shift left click. Now press Ctrl shift left click on Hungary. This will add the green layer to the selection. Layer 9, delete. Now put it above the first layer. And we have Austria. Now you can merge this layer with the bottom layer by pressing this icon. And we will do the same thing with Hungary. Okay, maybe you know what? Let's actually draw a border to differentiate between one another. Okay? Now press Ctrl Shift left click on every single color. Even this one. Okay. Like so. Press B for brush. Set it to something small, like 3 or 4. Pick black and start drawing borders. Okay, so now we can differentiate one from another. Press S and left click somewhere in the area to deselect everything. Magic wand, shift left click Hungary. And I will do it a little bit differently. I won't be using any flag from Google search. I will be drawing lines. So let's use this tool, color picker, to select red from Austrian flag. Press O or this icon. And now from this side we are going to draw make it small. We are going to draw a line by holding shift left click. Okay, so like that. And now also a white line for the middle color the same way. So over here, shift left click, hold it and move it right to the right side. Okay, now press the F button or a bucket. Don't shift left click, now only press the left mouse button. Okay, otherwise if you would press shift and left click, it would turn the entire green color to white. Okay, so let's just put it right here. Press enter. This tool, red, bucket tool, right here and here. And the green color is basically the same, I think. Maybe I will choose a slightly different green color. So these colors now align perfectly. So yeah, we have the first image layer, Austria and Hungary. Alright, so now let's create another layer. Now let's call it 3. And this time we'll be drawing actual borders. So enable this layer for references. Make sure this layer is selected. Brush or B, make it 3. And Austria-Hungary consisted of these lands. Austria-Hungary had some colonies in China, but we are not going to include them to make it simple. So let's draw the borders using colors and the references. I will be reusing everything from colors that I can. Make it red once again. Okay, and now I will have to draw the borders. The borders are not exact, keep that in mind, so you will probably be of good finding a different source, a different reference than this one. Now if you would use the fill bucket tool, see what's gonna happen. everything turns red. It is because if you disable these layers, you will notice that there is blank space and the buckets tool doesn't know where the color should end. So we need to separate these borders with a line like this. And now we can use the F key, the buckets tool. Once again, make a line like so. Don't worry, we will be removing these inconsistencies of it. Okay. And now we will need to remove these inconsistencies like I said earlier. I will tell you something about XOR. Go to the second layer, use the magic wand, shift left click on the blank area so that everything is selected except for the flag. Now press this rectangle select tool and click on XOR. Now drag until the end from one corner to another. You may see that everything was deselected and everything that was deselected before is now selected. That is basically the XOR function. Now head over to the third layer and click on delete. Yep, and it's done. We removed the inconsistencies. Okay, so we have the third layer. Actually, no, one thing. I forgot that Austria-Hungary had a slice in Montenegro. Okay, let's fix that right away. And you may ask yourself how to prevent, drawing over the layer. What I tend to do is to select the base layer, use the wand, shift left click on the color, and now everything except the empty space is selected. And if you look at that, you may not draw on the unselected area. Yeah. So now I can draw it like this. And I can even draw here, nothing will happen. Okay, so this is it. Now duplicate this one and duplicate even the second one. Merge these together, call it 4, and let's search for the Austro-Hungarian flag. Austria-Hungary never really had an official Austro-Hungarian flag, but many people are using this insignia flag. Yeah, this is not the flag of Austria-Hungary, but for this tutorial it will do. Many people are actually using this flag. So let's copy it, create a new layer for the flag. Like so, I think. Let's see how it will look like. I think it's fine. Shift left click, delete, up. And the Austro-Hungarian Empire has been born. So that was for the starting layers. Make sure to save it by pressing Ctrl S. Okay, so now I will show you on my video what layers or frames do we have now. So this is the first frame, yeah. Second, third, and fourth. So this is for the first part. Now we will need to do the other frame where we will be partitioning the empire. So we will need to create 2 layers. Well, like the first will be for the country that partitions the empire, and then we will need to create a separate layer for the empire without the land that was acquired by the other country. And we will be needing exactly 8 frames times 2. So I think that should not be a problem with Austria-Hungary. No, I actually counted 6. Okay, so we will do it a little bit differently. We will include the short-lived West Ukrainian People's Republic without the Carpathian Ruthenia Bukovina. These will be on their respective frames for Czechoslovakia and Romania. And at the end we will transition it into Poland, because West Ukrainian People's Republic was annexed by Poland. So we will do something like this. Yeah, it will transition into Poland when it starts flying up. Okay, enough. Let's start drawing already. So I will disable these layers. Keep this one open for references. Slightly change the opacity so we see all the borders below the empire. And let's start with Bukovina. Magic wand. Empty space. selection tool, XOR, and drag it onto the empire, just like before. So now we can draw onto the empire and not somewhere else. Create a new layer, Bukovina parts, and let's start drawing the borders onto this one. Like so. F, fill the color, and now what we will be doing, we will remove this part of the empire. So duplicate this layer, call it after, like that, after Bukovina. Now press this magic wand, change it to the selection tool, replace tool. Shift left click on the black part, go back to the after Bukovina, delete, and now if I would disable this layer and this one, then you can see that the Austro-Hungarian Empire now is without the Bukovina part. Now let's just add a flag to the Bukovina part, so let's go with Romania flag, this one will do. Just like that. Okay, so we have our first frame, the Bukovina part. Now we will just repeat the process. So let me get the West Ukraine borders, need this for the borders. Let's copy it. Okay, this one sucks. Let me get another one. Okay, so this one is a little bit better. I will change the opacity. Like so. Let's duplicate this one. Call it, create a new layer. Call it West Ukraine part. Like so. Let's rename this one to after Ukraine. Disable these. And let's start drawing. Oh, actually one thing. Wand, XOR, and once again like that. Carpathian Ruthenia will be included later on in Czechoslovakia. There we go. Just like that. Let's get the flag. Just like that. Okay, and we have the second layer. A second frame, I mean. Duplicate this one. And now do the same for the rest partitions. Okay, so I exported another layer from QGIS. Because the borders of Transylvania, Carpathian, Ruthenia and Slovakia were not aligning perfectly, so that's why I did that. Oh, also, one thing, we will need to transition this into Poland. So duplicate this one, let's call it, let's just call it 2.5, and let's call it West Ukraine Poland part. And change the colors, and then do the rest by yourself. Okay, and now for the last part, we will copy the second layer from the first part, like so. And let's add the coat of arms for Hungary, maybe like so. After an hour, I have all the frames. Remember to change the opacity of every single layer. Okay, save it. Disable all the layers. And now we will be exporting images frame by frame. Before we start exporting, let's add a little outline to these two layers. So, have this one enabled. Effects. Object, drop shadow. Blur radius to 0. Widening radius to, like, let's just say 10 maybe, and let's set it to white color, because that is a nice color. You can obviously pick any color you want. And let's do the same with the third layer. So let's repeat that. Oops. Make sure I did a mistake. Make sure you have this one selected. Yeah, there we go. So let's start exporting. It's actually pretty easy. All you have to do is have this one, have the one you want to export enabled. Every other layer needs to be disabled. Click on File, Save As, PNG. I will also create a folder for that. I will call this frame 1. Okay, flatten. There we go. Now press Ctrl Z and let's repeat the process. Okay, so I have them all right here. Finally, we can move on to the last part, and that is editing. So let's get right into it. Open CapCut, create a new project, import all the frames. Don't forget to import the map base and also import the audio. Drag map base into the timeline. Same with the song, and enlarge the map base to match the length of the music. Change the ratio to match the phone screen, and possibly even change the scale of the map base. But if you have the free version of CapCut, you should probably not crop it from one corner to another. Maybe you should keep it like this, because after you will be done with editing, then unfortunately there will be a watermark in the upper left corner. So maybe you should scale it just like that, so you can use any other free editing software to remove the watermark for you. I have the pro version, so I will scale it from one corner to another, like that. Sometimes I add some markers to pinpoint some areas where I will be putting other frames. So for example, right here, where is the music spike? Yeah, you can probably hear that. There will be another frame on top of map base. Yeah, so I will press M to add a new marker right here. Maybe let's put it slightly to the right. Yeah, I think like that. And I will do this for the entire clip. You don't have to do that like that. Obviously, you can skip this part. You don't have to put markers on top of the timeline. I will share with you all the important markers on screen. So I have all the markers on top of the timeline. There should be 21 markers. Maybe we will add some more throughout the editing process. So for now we will keep 21. Drag the first frame into the timeline, and remember to change the scale of the frame to match it with the map base frame. Yeah, so this one has 320. So I will just copy that and paste it right here. So now it matches the actual borders on the map. Now let's add some effects. Many people ask me how I do the circle thing with the first and the third layer. It's not really that hard. In most editing software it will be called oval iris. Right here in CapCut it's called mask. Click on mask, add mask. Now something like this should appear. Change it to circle and make sure you are at the start of the timeline of the clip. Change the resolution of the circle, center it. I think this is fine. It doesn't have to be perfect, you know. Click on this little diamond. This will add a new keyframe for the animation. This will be the starting point for the animation. Now move it slightly to the right, just like, probably like that. Actually, maybe like this. Add another keyframe. And now go back. Change the size of the circle to the absolute minimum. So 1 and 1. And now we created the animation. It's that easy. You can also right click this keyframe, reset curves, and you can choose the smoothness of the animation. I will just keep it on non-linear and change the keyframe a little bit to the left. I think it's fine. Maybe you can make the circle bigger in order for the animation to be much faster. Yeah, this will be much faster. Actually, I will keep it like that. Yeah, I like this. You can obviously change other effects if you want to, but many people ask me how to do this color thing. Now, move on to this first marker. Move this axis a little bit to the right, just like that. Split the clip with S key, delete it with the delete key, and add the second frame. Obviously you need to change the scale, so it's 320. And now let's add a little transition to it. In CapCut it's called mix. In other editing softwares it will be probably cross dissolve or simple dissolve. Drag this transition right between these two frames. There we go. Now change the transition length to match with the marker. And there you go. Yeah, this is basically what we will be needing for the transition. You can obviously change it to any transition you like. Right here we will be adding another frame, the third layer. We will not be splitting this bottom layer, we will be putting it above the second layer, second frame actually. Change the scale. And now we will basically do the same, just like on the first clip. Circle, resize it, add a keyframe, change it to the smallest size possible, slightly move to the right, like so, add a new keyframe, change the size to something big, there we go, maybe like this, yeah, this is fine. So this is what we have now. Now we will once again do the same thing like before with this transition. So split it, delete the clip, enlarge it a little bit, like that. What is the length of this animation? 0.2 seconds, okay. So add the fourth clip, this one. Transitions, mix, right between the two frames, change the size, length of the transition. And obviously change the scale of the clip, like that. There we go. And we basically have the first part. The first part is done. Now we will be partitioning the empire. Actually, we will just prepare layers for partitioning, and we will be positioning the camera later on. And also change the size, change the length of this clip. This marker specifies the place for the text. So let's add some text. Default text, drag it into the timeline. There's nothing we can do. Let's add some little shadow. Actually, no, stroke, shadow. That is the thing I am looking for. Like that. This is fine for me. You can play with these anyhow you like. Let's add a fade in and fade out transition. If it's available for free, yeah, it is available for free. So add the fade in animation and keep it probably like that. Okay, we will change the color right on this position. So add another keyframe, slightly to the right, another keyframe, and change the color to red. Probably like this red. Yeah. Then add another keyframe, probably like somewhere like here. Keyframe. Once again, slightly to the right. Another keyframe and change it back to white. Yeah, this is probably fine. We will cut it right here at the fifth marker or sixth marker. I'm sorry. And now we will slightly change the contrast. So adjustment, custom adjustment, and move it below the text between these two frames. Actually layers, these are called layers in CapCut. And we will once again add another keyframe to the adjustment. So add a keyframe to exposure. Now move it here. Oops. Another keyframe to the exposure. We'll make it, change it to -40. And another keyframe like here. exposure, move it to the second keyframe, make sure to select the right layer, adjustment layer, and once again add another keyframe and set it back to 0. That's basically what we want, and obviously cut it right at the end of the text. Now split even this one, delete it, and let's move to the part 2. So import the after Bukovina frame into this layer, change the size, like that, and add another frame, that is the Bukovina part, the buff, like that. And now skip this one, this layer. This marker specifies the position where the country will be moving up. We will skip this one for now. Move on to the 8th marker. Split both of these clips, delete them. Add after Ukraine. Change the scale of these two clips. By the way, I'm pressing Ctrl left click to select both of these clips. 320. Like that. Oh, and we will be needing to transition this partition into Poland, because West People's Ukraine Republic didn't last for long and it was annexed by Poland, so we will need to transition it. We will do it right now. So add another frame, this one, on top of the Ukraine. Change the scale of it. Can I move this down? No. Screw you. Now we can probably keep it like that. Like this. But I would like to whiten the Ukraine before it changes to Poland, so slightly change the length, the start of this clip, like that, and cut the Ukrainian frame, like that. Now go to adjustment, now repeat after me, select this frame, adjustment, disable the visibility of this one, add a keyframe to exposure and whites, and set it to maximum, set it to the maximum value, so it's white now. My bad, this is the starting keyframe. Now set it to 0. Move to the end of the clip and change the exposure and whites to 100. Now enable this clip, and now we will be doing the same for Poland. So adjustment, and also we will be needed to change the opacity. So video, blend, new keyframe, change the opacity to 0. Now move it to the end of this layer, of this frame. Another keyframe, change the opacity to 100. Now move back to the first keyframe, go to adjustment, exposure to 100, to the maximum value actually, whites 2. Move to the second keyframe and change it to 0. And obviously this is it. I'm not satisfied with that. Let's change that a little bit. Change the starting length of this frame to match with the Ukrainian one, so like that. Delete all the keyframes that are on this frame, so it's probably like that right now. Once again, adjustment, new keyframe for exposure and highlight, exposure and whites, maximum. And it seems like for Poland we will also need to change the saturation, so add a keyframe for saturation and change it to 0, -50 actually. Now move it slightly to the right, and now change all these values back where they were. So we made a little flash. Once again, cut it on the next position, delete the clip. Same with this one. Let's keep on going. Add after Galicia and Galician part. Change the scale once again. we don't have to do anything specific for this part. Once again, skip this one and do the same with the rest of the frames. Okay, I have them all in the timeline. Now we will be doing the most frustrating part of all things. So let's go. We don't have to do anything specific right here. We don't have to add a keyframe at the start. Just select both of these layers and scale them. Also, you can scale even further than 500%. You will need to change this manually. So for example, if I want to scale more, I will need to change this manually. 700 should do. Let's change the position a little bit. Like that. And I think like that. This should do. So these two layers are now positioned, and now we will need to do the same frustrating thing on all these layers. And this time with keyframes. And that is even more frustrating. One mistake and you will be doing this all the way from the beginning. You know what? I think you can copy and paste these keyframes. So add a transform keyframe onto the map base. Copy this one by pressing Ctrl C. Now move on to this frame. Have it selected right at the start of the clip. Ctrl V. Yeah, so you don't have to position it from the beginning. You don't have to copy all these values one by one. You can just press Ctrl C and then Ctrl V. Make sure this axis is right at the right position where you want to put the keyframe. Otherwise it will do some unusual stuff. Now do the same right here. You don't have to copy the keyframe once again. You can just press Ctrl V. There we go. And now we will need to position all of these layers one by one to match the screen resolution. This resolution, I mean. Now let's add starting keyframes on all of these three layers. All of these three frames. So this one is done. This one. And this one. And then move it to the next keyframe, probably like somewhere here. Once again, 1, 2, 3. Change the scale to 500. Change this position. I will round these coordinates like that. And now we will need to copy and paste these coordinates to these layers. So 500, 500, and minus 420. That's a nice number. And 480. Now, since there are no other effects on this keyframes, you can just copy this one and paste it right here. Make sure to delete this one first. Now paste it in. And now we have a zooming and positioning animation. What you can also do is to change the smoothness of the animation. So right click the keyframe and select, just say QGIS maybe, and once again do the same thing with all these keyframes, all these starting keyframes. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, it's not this one, it's this one actually, the ending keyframe. So QGIS, and QGIS. There we go. Now this one is much smoother. Okay, now let's change the position of this frame, the fourth one. Once again, you don't have to change it manually, you can just copy the last keyframe of the previous animation. So copy that one, select this one, Ctrl V, and it's done. Now once again, Ctrl V, Ctrl V, and we will zoom in right to Bukovina. So move slightly to the right, add another keyframe, and play with these settings. Okay, I think this is the maximum I managed to zoom into Bukovina. It's starting to get big. It's starting to get pixelated here in CapCut, so I will just keep it. I will rather keep it like that. Change the preset to QGIS and Control C, Control V, Control V. There we go. And make sure to add a starting keyframe to the map base. I completely forgot that. So go back. If you did that, select this one. Control C. Delete this one and Control V. Okay, something is still off. Okay, something is still off. I will try to figure out what's wrong with this. Oh yeah, change the preset curves of these starting keyframes to none. It's still off. Okay, never mind. It is because of the preset I chose. Don't choose cubic ease, choose quad ease instead. It will be better. Yeah. Now move on to the next marker. Select Bukovina part, another keyframe. Move it slightly to the right, another keyframe once again. And change the Y coordinate to something big. So it moves up. Okay. Maybe slightly more to the right. Yeah, this is much better. Once again, you can choose another preset to make it look smoother. Yeah. And let's move on. So let's copy once again this keyframe. Control C, move right here. Control V, Control V, and Control V. Now once again, let's move slightly to the right. Select this particular frame, keyframe. Zoom out a little bit. Now copy this one. Control V, Control V. Once again, let's make it smoother. So quad ease, and quad ease. Make sure the starting keyframes are always set to none. Once again, Control C, Control V, and move the Poland up. And let's move Poland up. So add another keyframe right here. 3000. There we go. Yeah. This should do the trick. Now once again, Control V on these two. Change the preset to none. Add a keyframe to map base. Once again, slightly to the right. Change the position of this particular frame. Change the preset. And copy this keyframe to other frames. Next marker, next keyframe. Slightly to the right. Next keyframe and 3000. Once again, slightly to the right because this is too fast. Yeah, this is fine. Once again, change the preset. Okay, you can change, or you can obviously change the duration of the animation however you want. Control C, oops. Move the axis first. Control V, there we go. So you can set the preset to none. And now you are good to go. You can continue on your own. And it's done. Okay, I think it's fine. You can change the opacity of every single frame to something smaller. So these borders are visible, are slightly visible. For the sake of this tutorial, I won't be doing that. You can play with it, you can add your own transitions, you can add your own text, you can even add some labels. Yeah, to these countries when they declared independence. Maybe even how they declared independence or or something similar. I guess I will keep it like this. I will just add another text layer, and this one will be for the watermark. So red star with somewhere like here, for example, and let's change the opacity, maybe even more. That's way too much. Yeah, I think this will do. And obviously make sure to drag it all the way across all clips until the end. And I will also add one thing, and to remind new people to subscribe. Some faded animation never killed anyone. Let's make it slightly bigger. There you go! By the way, this took me 2 hours to make, because CapCut keyframing is very bad. But yeah, it's done. If you are happy with the result, you can export it. Let's call it there is nothing we can do. Austria, Hungary, version 2 for me. No watermark for me. Resolution 1080p. Higher bitrate, 60 FPS, and that's everything. Now hit on export and grab a beer, chill out and wait for the result. So let's see what we've got. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the result. Maybe there is one thing that I would change, and that is the speed of the transition from Ukraine to Poland. It's quite fast and most people won't see even that it changed to Poland, but whatever. You can change it in your project. I will keep it like that. So yep. Very well, congratulations, you made it to the end. If you watch it from the beginning to the end, I'm saluting to you, because this tutorial will probably be like an hour long. So kudos to you, you're awesome, all of you are awesome. Thank you so much for 50k subscribers, and let's hit another milestone. Once again, thank you very much for watching and your support. Without you, I wouldn't be where I am today. So yep. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and bye bye!